Alright, back again with the highly requested video. Today we're checking out the top accessories for the Fujifilm X-E5. Now as you probably know, I actually own the Fujifilm X-M5 and the X106, and I've done top accessories for both of those cameras, but I had a lot of people asking me for top accessories for the X-E5. Now even though this camera is pretty similar to the X106, we do have a bunch of new accessories that I'm going to show you today. There are a couple ones that I have shown before because they are that good, but I'm excited to show these ones for you. So most of the accessories in this video are not sponsored, but we do have a sponsor for today's video, which is PGYTECH. I've shown their products multiple times on this channel before and I really like their stuff, so I'll talk a little bit more about their stuff in a second, but thank you so much for the sponsor. But first we're going to start off with the camera cage. So this is the Tilta vintage camera cage, and as you can tell, it adds a very nice vintage look to the camera, hence the name. But what I really like about this camera cage is how slim it is. So the unboxing experience is super nice, very nice packaging, and I feel like it does kind of fit the vintage theme that they're going for. Obviously you can tell I have a black XE5, and the vintage camera cage has a very nice wooden grip, which I actually think suits this color very well. Now because the XE5 does have that rangefinder box style, having an extra little grip just makes it a little bit nicer to hold, and it feels really good. Now on the bottom here, it's very simple. You just have one screw that goes into the camera, and there are actually no other holes for you to mount anything on. So it's a very simple design. You do obviously have these two cutouts for the battery door, and it's very seamless, and it's pretty much like an exact fit. It looks really nice. And you also have a cutout for the Bluetooth button. Now one thing to note is that this camera cage does not actually have an Arca Swiss plate on the bottom. If you do want to use an Arca Swiss plate, Tilta actually made a camera adapter. So this would just slide onto the vintage camera cage, and the bottom is actually an Arca Swiss plate, and you can use this to mount onto things like tripods. Now this could be an upside or downside too, depending on how you use your camera. For me, because this is a travel and everyday camera, I'm basically never putting this on a tripod. I'm always just either using a strap or just holding onto it. So I prefer not having an Arca Swiss plate because it makes the camera cage very nice and slim. And now on the off chance I do want to use an Arca Swiss plate, I do have the camera adapter so that I can put it onto a tripod. If you are someone who frequently puts this camera on a tripod, you might want to look at some other camera cages like SmallRig. They do have an Arca Swiss plate built into it. But for me personally, because like I mentioned, it is an everyday camera, I do like not having an Arca Swiss plate. It just makes the whole cage nice and slim, and I really like the minimalist compact design. One thing to note about this cage is that I believe it is a brushed aluminum, so it is kind of a fingerprint magnet. So if you're someone who hates that, this might not be the cage to get, but I personally like the cage a lot. It just looks super stylish. So next we got some products from PGYTECH, which is today's sponsor for this video, so thank you so much for that. I have been using these for a bit, and I actually do think that they do fit this video. They are very nice accessories for the X-E5, so you may want to check these out. So first we have this OneGo rope strap bag. It's basically just a bag that allows you to put your X-E5 and a few other accessories if you're just going out to shoot for a day. The design is very nice. It's this waterproof texture. So if you open the main compartment, you have a ton of space. Right now I have my X-E5 along with another lens and a charger, and there's actually a ton of other pockets if I want to put things like my phone. You do have the strap so that you can wear it around your neck, but you can also take this off if you prefer just holding on to the rope straps. So our next accessory from PGYTECH is this camera strap slim. And as you probably know, I normally don't like wearing camera straps. They're usually too thick, and for an everyday camera, I want it to be as small as possible. But I've actually fallen in love with this a lot because it is so slim. You have these really nice red or burgundy accents, and the design is very nice. You also have these silver chrome accents that tie the actual strap and the rope material together. Now on the side of the camera, you just put on these little anchor hooks. These ones are actually super tiny, and then after you can quickly put on the camera strap. Now this is my favorite feature about this camera strap because it has a quick release. For an everyday camera, I don't want to have a camera strap that takes me a lot of time to put on and take off, so a quick release camera strap is definitely a must for me. For this camera strap, you also have this very unique looking bag, and when you pull it, you have a lens cloth. It's super small, so it doesn't take up any space. You can see that it's just strapped around the rope so that you can always take it off if you don't want it there, but it's just a nice little accessory to have hanging around your neck in case you ever need to switch lenses and then clean them off. Our third accessory is the CF Express CreateMate card reader. I've shown this multiple times before, and this is my personal favorite card reader when I'm traveling. Because of its design, it's drop proof, shock proof, and waterproof, and when you push into the case, the whole thing slides out. Now I currently have the CF Express Type A because I also use Sony cameras, but they do make a version for CF Express Type B and just normal SD cards. So in this reader, you can fit 3 CF Express Type A cards, you can also fit 3 normal SD cards, and then you have spaces for SD cards and SIM cards along with the SIM card ejector pin. If you push onto this tab, you have a USB-C that pops out, and then when this this pops out, you can actually plug into your computer, and then you get these two little slots on the side, so you can just slide in your SD card or your CF-Express.8 card, and then this basically turns into a portable card reader. So this is my favorite card reader, and I bring it whenever I travel. And then our last item on this list from PGYTECH are these gloves. For some reason, I always do these accessory videos whenever it's cold, but these have actually come in really handy. They're basically just photography gloves. You can put them on, you have this little Velcro to cinch it down and make sure that it's tight. But the thumb, the index finger, and the middle finger have a flap that opens up. And this is great whenever using a camera because obviously these finger holes are way too big to be able to adjust buttons or any of the dials on your camera. So having them being able to flip open allows you to just use your actual hands to adjust those dials. And then whenever you're done, you can close them again to keep your hands warm. They do have magnets on the end, so when you flip open that tab, it just magnetizes and they don't get in the way. And even though they are a little bit bulky, the whole point is that the finger tabs open so that it doesn't feel as bulky when you're actually handling the camera, but they are also insulated so that it keeps your hands nice and warm. Again, thank you so much PGYTECH for sponsoring this video. If you want to check out any of these products, be sure to check out the first link in the description below. So next on the list is this camera charger by Llano. So this is the CM3. Now Llano makes this for a ton of other brands as well, but right now I have the Fujifilm version here, and it's basically just a 3-cell charger for your Fujifilm batteries. You have a USB-C that you can plug in, and that charges all 3 of your batteries. And then on the front you have a screen, and you're able to see the battery percentage of all of your batteries. They range from 25% to 100%, and you have 4 dots, so they go up in 25% increments. And I believe none of the cameras, at least the XM5, the X106, and the XE5, none of them have actually come with a charger. So having your own dedicated charger is great because then I can just plug all my batteries in here and I can charge them up way faster than just plugging in the camera. And the great thing about this being a case is that once you're done with charging your batteries, you can literally just take the whole case and put it into your bag along with all of your batteries, so you don't have to just store your batteries into your bag. Next, let's take a look at some filters. So right now I'm currently using 2 different kinds of filters depending on what scenario I'm in. So during the summer, I was using the PolarPro CineGold a lot. This is a half diffusion gold mist filter, so it adds a warm glow to your highlights. If you haven't seen mist filter before, they basically just add a little glow to your highlights and makes it pop a little bit more. And I really like using this during sunny days because it just helps enhance the warm glow of the highlights a little bit more. Now normally on gloomier days, I will use the PolarPro Shortstache everyday filter. Like mentioned, this is called the everyday filter because I think that if you're only looking for one filter that you can use in pretty much every scenario, this is the one to get. It's a half diffusion filter but doesn't have a warm cast on it, so it is neutral, but it also has a built-in polarizer, so you can actually turn it and help bring back some details into your sky or cut out some reflections. So if you really like warm tones in your photos, then I would recommend looking at the CineGold half diffusion. But if you really like just having a filter that you can use in every scenario, take a look at the Shortstache everyday filter. Now one thing to keep in mind is that these 2 filters are 49mm, and this point is only for this lens, which is the Fujifilm X-F23mm f2.8. So that's the kit lens that comes with the XE5. But one thing to note is that this kit lens is a 39mm filter thread, and these filters are 49mm. Now 39mm is a pretty unique filter size, so to be able to use this, I had to use a step-up ring. This is just a generic 39mm to 49mm step-up ring from Amazon, so we'll add a little bit of extra length to your filters, but I do like using filters. Hopefully these companies also end up making a native 39mm filter at some point that you can just attach onto your XE5 without using any adapters. Now if you aren't someone who likes using filters though, and you want a little bit more protection for your lens, this is the Squarehood. Get it? So the Squarehood basically just has this little adapter plate that is 39mm. This specific one is meant for the kit lens, the 23mm f2.8. And once you screw on that adapter, you can slide on the lens hood, and then you have these 2 little screws on the side that you tighten just to make sure that it stays in place. And as you can see, it protects the front of your lens, but also adds a little bit of a unique style, and especially combined with the Tilta vintage cage, it actually makes the whole camera look a lot more like a film camera. And I actually really like this style a lot. And then when you're done using the square hood, you have this little square flap, and when you press the tabs on the top and bottom, you can just slip it back onto the lens, and that basically protects your lens. Now one thing to keep in mind is that if you are looking to put filters, you can put on the adapter first for the square hood, and then you can screw on the 39mm filter and then put on the square hood, and it should fit. But because I only have 49mm filters right now, there's no way for me to actually put the 49mm filter and the step-up ring under the square hood. So like I mentioned, there are a couple companies right now that do make 39mm filters, although not a lot. But if you do get one of those, you should be able to put your 39mm filter under the square hood. Then you can use both a filter and the square hood. But if you're someone like me right now who's using step-up rings, using 49mm filters, you're gonna have to unfortunately just choose between a filter and the square hood. Now Squarehood also sent over their soft shutter release. So this specific one is called black with brassing, and I really like the black because it matches the XE5, but it just has a little bit of a gold ring around it to give it a very small pop. Now if you haven't used soft shutter releases before, I do highly recommend giving it a try. It just gives it a little bit extra nicer feel whenever you're pressing the shutter, and of course it just adds a little bit of styling to your camera. Very simple accessory, but a lot of people do like this. One thing to note is that this soft shutter release from Squarehood has a little O-ring under it, and that basically just helps make sure that the soft shutter release stays locked in, because a lot of times if you have a soft shutter release that doesn't have the O-ring, at some point it will loosen itself and fall off. And I had to use a little bit of blue Loctite just to put it into the thread and make sure that it doesn't unscrew itself, but because there is an O-ring on the Squarehood soft shutter release, I don't have to deal with Loctite at all. Now next accessory for the XE5 is this Ulanzi flash. This is the SL03. It's basically just a very small flash that goes onto the hot shoe. Because of this hot shoe design, this flash is actually universal, so while I am using it on the Fujifilm camera, I could use it on my Sony cameras or Canon cameras or Nikon cameras, so they are universal. Now flashes are super useful, and that's actually one of the things that I missed from the X106 is that it has a built-in flash while the XE5 does not, so that's where one of these come in handy. So very simple, you just slide it onto the hot shoe. The top can actually rotate down, or you can point it up, so depending on if you want a bouncy light or point it directly at your subject, you can change that. You have a power button, and then on the right side you have this button and you can press it to switch between different power modes. You can go between 1/8, quarter, half, and full power. If you hold on to it, you can actually turn on a fill light at the front, and that's a constant fill light, so maybe if you're vlogging or you're shooting in the dark and you want to have that light on, you can do that. For this constant fill light, you actually don't need it on the camera, so if I just hold on to the power button, you can see that it turns on. It is pretty bright. You can see that when I just point at myself, it does add a lot of exposure, so it is very useful if you want to just fill in a subject. But if you hold on to the right button one more time, you can actually combine that constant fill light with the flash on top and use both modes at once. And with this, you're able to get some pretty unique shots. Now our next item on the list is the DJI Mic Minis. So as you know, audio is super important, and I think that for the XE5, if you want to do a little bit of vlogging or if you want to interview someone, this is very useful to have. Very simple, you just have a receiver that you can put onto the hot shoe, and then you just attach the TRS cable from the receiver into the camera. And then you have these mics that are super tiny. These mics can actually fit into the case with the windscreen and the cable in it. One of the great things about the Mic Mini is that it's also super affordable, and especially if you're just getting started into video or content creation and you want to make sure that you get good audio but you don't have a lot of budget to spend, I highly recommend picking up the DJI Mic Minis because it has such great value for a super affordable price but really good sound quality. I'm going to do an audio test in a second, but first I want to talk about our next accessory, which are some lenses. So obviously there's a ton of lenses that we could go over, but I'm going to go through a few of my favorite right now. We're not going to talk about the 23mm f2.8, which is a kit lens, because most people are already going to get that, and I think that if you are debating between it, definitely pick that one up because it's a very nice kit lens to have. But our first lens that we're going to take a look at is the Viltrox 9mm f2.8. So because it is a crop sensor, after you crop the focal length, it's going to be about a 13mm focal length. This lens gives you some very unique wide angle shots. It's a pretty low aperture, so it's going to be great in low light as well. And if you are someone who likes shooting pretty ultra wide, this is definitely one to consider. But what I really liked about this is that because it's about a 13mm focal length and it's small, you're still able to put filters onto the front, which is great. I'm actually using this for vlogging. Alright, so right now we're testing out the Fujifilm X-E5 with the Viltrox 9mm f2.8. This is a perfect little lens for vlogging because it's so wide. As you can see here, I'm just holding it out at arm's length, and you can basically see everything, and you can see Wilson over here filming me. Now, I'm also using the DJI Mic Mini, so that's the audio that you're hearing right now, and it's definitely going to be better than the internal mic, especially if you're outside in these windy environments. Overall, I think if you're someone who really likes to do wide angle shots and do a little bit of vlogging, the autofocus is great and the focal length is very nice to have. Now, if you want the smallest, most compact, ultra slim camera setup for the XE5, then I would recommend taking a look at the Viltrox 28mm f4.5. Now, this is a very unique design because, as you can see, it's super slim. It is 28mm, so after you crop in, it's going to give you about a 42mm focal length. And this lens is actually a fixed at 4.5. So you can't go higher or go lower. It's going to be 4.5 all the time. Now 4.5 is pretty decent. Obviously it's not going to give you the best low light compared to lenses like 2.8 or 1.8 or 1.4, but because Fujifilm's grain is pretty good, I don't mind pushing up my grain a little bit, and I think that this is a very nice lens to have if you want to be super small. Because you can't actually put filters or lens caps on it, it has a unique design where you can just slide open the switch and the lens will open up. On the back side, you have this little slot for USB-C if you want to update the camera, and then you can just see all the contact pins there. And after you put this on your camera, you can see how slim the whole thing really is. Now obviously one of the main accessories that you're going to need to be able to take photos is an SD card. And especially if this is your main camera, you're definitely going to want a reliable SD card. Now the SD card that I have been using for the XE5 is this ProGrade card. Now the size of this SD card is 256 gigabytes, so it's going to have enough space for multiple days of shooting, and I don't have to stress about clearing the card each day. It's also a V60 card. Now I believe the XE5 only takes a V30, so technically I am spending a little bit more for speeds that are wasted that the camera is not actually using, but I actually like a V60 card because it allows me to transfer my photos if I plug it into my computer a little bit faster than V30 cards, especially if I'm taking a lot of photos. Now you could go V90s, but I think that's a little bit overkill, and I think V30s is a little bit too slow, so V60s is just kind of that really nice in between, and I prefer that. I use ProGrade cards in all of my cameras, my XE5, my Sony cameras, they all use ProGrade cards, and they've been super reliable. I've never had any issues with them, so highly recommend them. Now the final accessory on this list is a very nice everyday carry bag, and right now I'm using the Wandrd Rogue 4 liter. So this is the V2 version, and this color is the Aegean blue. When you open it up, you can see that it basically fits the XE5 perfectly, and then in the other slot I can fit something else like a lens or a charger. At the back I can also unzip this pocket and put in things like my phone. At the bottom you can carry a small tripod or a water bottle. It has grab handles, so depending on how you want to carry it, you can easily swing the bag to your front or to the back, and it has a quick release strap. Now I chose the 4 liter version because I want a camera bag that is just for everyday carry, so I'm not going to bring out a bunch. So I can just bring my XE5 and either a second lens or a battery charger. But if you are someone who wants to carry a little bit more, Wandrd does make other sizes for their Rogue bags. They have a 6 liter and a 9 liter version, and those can definitely carry a bit more if you want to. And that's all the accessories we have today for the Fujifilm X-E5. I would love to know which one of these accessories today were your favorite. Let me know down in the comments below. If you like this video, remember to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to see more photo video content, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.